can you just kind of explain the unique struggles that kids and teenagers face when it comes to their mental health?
You know, children certainly don't have a lot of experience. So they don't have a wealth of tools and tricks to pull from because they just haven't experienced a lot. And we think about what has happened with our kids. You know, back when, I was a kid and I'm 51, life looked very, very different. And one of the biggest differences is that there wasn't a device that I have in my pocket all the time. There wasn't this freedom that we now have with social media and electronic devices. So what our kids are dealing with today, oftentimes as adults, we dealt with those much later in our lives when our brains were more developed. So you've got younger children being exposed to many more adult kinds of concepts, and they don't have the tools to deal with it, nor do they have the language. So all of a sudden kids are exposed to something, they see something, they hear something, and they don't even know why they're feeling the way they're feeling, and they don't have the language. And oftentimes parents don't recognize what's going on with their youngster. So they may just assume that the youngster is being defiant, is being bad, is tantruming, and not realizing that all of those behaviors are result of a trigger, of a traumatic event, of something where the little person just is overwhelmed. Many times those behaviors are signs and symptoms of being overwhelmed or having experienced some sort of trauma. And so as parents, we have to kind of take a step back ourselves. As adults, take a step back, not automatically assume that this kid is just doing something to get on your nerves, but really trying to understand what's the reason for behavior. Because at the end of the day, for any of us, behavior is really two things. You want to get something or get out of something. And so for little people, they're just trying to deal with the world around them. So that's where adults come in. It's helping kids regulate, helping to teach them to do the same things we would do as adults. Okay, I noticed that you're getting a little bit upset. We're going to take a time out. Let's take a big breath. Let's practice breathing. Let's practice some peaceful imaging for you. Those kinds of things to help, again, get that child back to that sense of calm and regulation, and then be able to help that little person be able to deal with whatever the situation was that put them in this sense of being overwhelmed. I think for parents, we're always kind of like, okay, what's happening today? But I think again, I want to stress for our parents out there, you know your kid the best. Even when you don't feel like you do, you still know your kid the best. So what are some of the outward signs? Your kid is sleeping too much. Your kid's not sleeping enough. Your kid is eating too much, maybe not eating enough. Your kid's not engaging in things that your kid used to enjoy doing, whether that was a sport, it was the arts, it was something that brought them joy, they're now not doing. You notice that their hygiene is really poor. You notice that, if a kid would keep a pretty clean room and it's now totally messy, those are all signs that there's some dysregulation going on with your young person, and it's an important time for you to say something in a very peaceful way, not a, you need to clean up your room, you need to get a shower, in a, you know what, I'm noticing this. I'm worried about you. I love you. I want to see the best for you. Let's go for a walk and just talk. Let's do something so that I can really understand what's going on, and then you can deal with the behavior.